Hi guys, Keith Arkenberg Farms. It's now the second week of August and the heat is finally broke and it is just absolutely beautiful out here. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about what's behind me here and my 4 main secrets to growing greens and beautiful lettuce in the 100-degree heat. Yes, all this was transplanted and planted in the 100-degree heat wave we just had. So, let me show you. But first, head over to arkenbergfarms.com, scroll down the bottom, tab down there, digital tools and training, all kinds of cool stuff down there. We also have our greenhouse side openers and door actuators there as well. Also, I will be speaking at Mother Earth News Fair the 3rd weekend in August, so I believe that's August 17th. I'll be Saturday doing 2 presentations, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, doing season extension, and we'll also be doing the DIY market gardening, which basically shows all the cool stuff I've made on the farm. I've got an affiliate link down below. Some of the proceeds from that actually go to actually helping the farm and grow this and produce the content you're watching right now. Same thing over the store. All the proceeds go to help including growing the farm and helping make more of this content. We got t-shirts over there as well. Check them out. The first big secret we use is we traditionally plant everything in 200 cell flats. Great. Works great all year round, except for the summer. I found it best to switch out to the 98s, which we just generically call the 100 cell flats. And that allows the plug to have more soil. It grows a bigger start, bigger root system, and on top of that, it holds water longer. That's one of the important parts as well, is that it's actually holding water longer, so it doesn't risk drying out in the field. We of course use our DIY vacuum seeder. Got a video on that, look it up, DIY vacuum seeder, and plant out. And then from there, they go into our germination room. We have racks on the shelves with a bunch of lights on them. We germinate them in here under light, which gives me this weird lighting effect behind me. From there, we wait till they all germinate. Lights are cycled, just like regularly, 16 on, 8 off. And that gives us a nice, short, stocky transplant when they go over into the germination house. I've done videos on this before. It's just window air conditioner controlled in here. It's actually old walk-in we used to have. I can turn it into a walk-in whenever I want because I got my fancy little cool bot on the wall over there. Also, next week I'll be talking about the way to do a homemade style cool bot to where you can do the same thing that little expensive booger right there does for around 50 bucks. And it works great. So make sure to check that out next week and we'll be on to the next step. From the propagation room, we make sure they're well watered and we move them out in the evening so I don't get any sun shock when it's really, really hot out here. Got all my trays out here. Got my little spinnerets. I can't remember who these are by. Spinnerets by Netafilm. And these run twice a day, once in the morning and once in the hottest part of the day. Keep everything in here good and hydrated. I actually like to err on the side of overwatering than underwatering. Because if you underwater, you lose the whole trays like these guys right back here. They were actually in the germination chamber. They did not get the lights turned on because something happened to one of the switches and they got real leggy. Brought them out here, gone 24 hours. After they get to full size, we take them out the field and we'll get to the next secret and show you the transplanting process. Now I'm just going to apologize in advance if we have any wind buffering noise out here. It is rather windy out here, which it has not been basically all summer, so that means that the cooler air is moving in, so we're just going to have to deal with it. Now, I don't have any that are going out right now, but I do have a few left in the tray from last week that are waiting to size up. So we got a nice transplant there, not overly big, and we'll take it out and I'll show you the most important part about summertime transplanting, and then we'll talk about the direct seeded stuff I have behind me. Now, this part of the transplant process is the most vital of all. We do not set our starts out to harden off. I'll get to that here in a second. We use a dibbler stick, go in from behind, pop the plug if it won't pop for us. So we have a really beautiful transplant ready to go. The biggest issue I've found is that with these transplants, there's this little section right here that is loose, and then it starts to reveal the neck. Ideally, we want to plant down to what its original depth is. So for that, I actually have a dibbler stick that I cut to fit the size of this start in the tray. I've also got a 200 cell on the other side. So I know that I want to go the full depth of this stick. So very simply push in, give it a wiggle. Now we have a hole that is perfectly sized to the start. We want to make sure you go down with a couple fingers and push it clear to the bottom so there's no air pocket. Now that'll actually leave soil on the top that's not there because that plug fell off. And we want to take the surrounding soil and push it around it. Once we push the soil around it, we're actually creating a cap with our soil, which holds water way better than this mix here. These plugs tend to dry out really quick when they're exposed to the air or they're left above ground, and that's what kills your start before it ever even has a chance to start going in the field. So very important, even if it kept that little bit of dirt on top, you want to go slightly below the soil and then take your natural soil and actually push it around, and you make a cap over the top of that plug. And that really, really helps keep it good and hydrated for it to have time to establish out in the field. The next is a step that we use everywhere on the farm, and I've spoken about a lot: the ground cover itself. This stuff here is actually DeWitt white on black. Works pretty good. It's more of a open weave, the way they weave it. You'll have to see it if you purchase it. Always purchase it off of eBay because we have a supplier just over in Missouri, so we get it really quick when we order it. I'm sure you can find it in other places as well. Go ahead, check around. I'm not endorsing anybody on it, but this is DeWitt. We also use our standard black fabrics as well. This is very unintuitive to most people because it's black. They think this will actually make it hotter, when in all actuality, it does on the surface, and that's where the transplanting is so important, that you're capping your plugs and making that start nice and straight up and down, because when you plant them, if they go limp and they fall onto the fabric, this black, they are going to burn, and it can very quickly kill your transplant. But underneath this black fabric, it's actually insulating the soil from the heat itself. Again, very counterintuitive. It's doing this because the soil temperature is cooler than the outside air. The outside air is not touching it, it's actually holding it underneath. So it's actually keeping, almost like an insulator, it's keeping the ground temperature in instead of letting the air temperature come down. Other great thing with this is when the overhead comes on, which I've got the overhead stands behind me, it actually moistens this, and as the wind blows over it, it causes a cooling effect. Same thing with the netting as well, the shade cloth. Which brings me to the final very, very important step, is the shade cloth itself. I know I've done videos before on the shade cloth and how we put it on. We're just using regular hoops. They're 6 foot. Each of our pieces of shade cloth are 6 foot as well. We come down at one end, and do we have any out in the open to see? Yeah, we've got one right here. So right here, there's a landscape pen that I make out of old hoops. So it's about, I don't know, the length of my hand and a big U. And I take it and I wrap around, and then I go back through. So I've got it going through once and then back through again. And that we then push down the ground, and it tensions this fabric. We go down on the other end, pull it tight on both sides, do the same thing, and it allows the shade cloth to really hold tight. So with the shade cloth, we only use 30%, and because we have sun from horizon to just about horizon out here, all the way across, we do not take it off during the summer heat at all. Now remember, again, all of this was grown in 100-degree temperatures. We had almost a 4-week stint of either real high 90s or 100s. Neighbor with the lawnmower behind me, so moving away slowly. But this is actually producing really, really well. You'll see I do have some spots where, like there, things just didn't stick. Or the other possibility is the cutworms come through. They like to take out little patches, like that right there. You can see that was cutworm activity because there's just one little section that didn't stick. This bed right here is where I discovered actually making sure that the start was all the way down and a little deeper. Had the crew out here planting these and those tops were falling off. They didn't know anything. I didn't know it was happening. And as a result, the lettuce itself, like this one right here, is actually up above the surface. You can see the stalk right there going up. Because that stalk is up higher, they're more exposed, and all of this died out. We actually planted in here twice and had the same thing happen. I decided to take over after that, and you can just see the difference all the way down the bed. Now again, with the landscape fabric, I'm not 100% certain that white is the answer. It does seem to grow just a little bit better. I did a test down here, and it's been in the ground now for about 4 weeks, about 3 weeks. And you can see it's just slightly bigger, but not really all that much of an advantage as far as I'm concerned. If you got the system set up, there's no reason to go and restart and then change out to all white. I'm actually reburning this into a different pattern as I go for these transplants out here. Now let's talk about our direct seeded crops. We've got a nice bed of lettuce here. I've got 2 different kinds here that I'm trialing side by side in the heat. The main trick to this is you need a lot of water to get it started. It can't be super dry out. The shade cloth, again 30%, goes on right at the beginning. No questions about it. We seed, shade cloth goes on. Then for our mixes, they're mainly our brassicas, our arugula, and then our brassica, which is basically a mustard, red Russian kale mix. We apply the insect netting immediately inside of the shade cloth itself. So we've got shade cloth, and then actually floating on our crop below is our insect net. And that just keeps all the flea beetles excluded. We don't have to worry about it. It also does create a little bit of a microclimate down there to where it is much cooler, because not only does the insect net itself cause a shading effect, it also holds the moisture in it, and the wind blows over it and kind of creates a cooling effect as well as the water evaporates. So it's the same premise. 30% shade cloth as soon as it started, stays on the whole time. Insect net, when it's first started, first direct seeded, stays on the whole time. When we harvest, we'll actually take it off. To recap, the 4 biggest secrets for growing lettuce and greens during 100+ heats is: number 1, switch to a larger cell size. We go from the 200 cell flat to the 100 cell flat. Gives us about double the amount of soil in each plug. Second is to make sure to get it all the way down in the soil. A custom dibbler that you can cut out of wood works great. That's the exact same size as your cell. Make sure to get it down and then cap it with your soil to keep it from drying out. Third is the use of any type of ground cover, because it actually insulates the soil and keeps it cooler even though you don't think it does. The 4th, final, and biggest one of all is that we use 30% shade cloth from the time things are planted, like these guys over here, or when they're transplanted. It stays on the whole entire time until temperatures successfully drop down to daytime lows below 85 degrees. Another advantage is it keeps the moths out, so it keeps caterpillars out of them. So, as always, hope y'all liked what you saw today and thought it was useful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day.